What an amazing sales mastery event last week. Packed house with tons of information, strategy, and intel. Let's dig in. Success is a horrible teacher. Failure is the best teacher. We actually just learned that in 2020 and 2021 when everybody was the best originator and leader in the world, right? Last week was amazing, and I want to first thank Todd for the opportunity and then thank him for the entire event. It was sold out and it was jam-packed. So many great takeaways, but I did want to share my time on the stage with you guys real quick. Todd asked me 3 simple leadership questions, starting with, what is the most important leadership lesson you've learned? Now, this may not be the single most important lesson that I learned, but it is something that I learned early on and it has stuck with me to this day. See, I learned that success is a lousy teacher. Most of us know that. If you study elite athletes and top performers, they will all talk about failure being the best teacher. Almost everything I've learned in my life has been from failing, learning from my failure, and the constant pursuit of version 2.0 of myself. These lessons are pretty well documented and discussed in leadership books, but what isn't is that we can also learn from others' mistakes. We can compound our learning curve in a massive way if we are tuned in to observing and learning from others in leadership roles. I believe this process and watching others has been the biggest development for me as a leader. I would learn how not to do something or how not to treat people. For many years, I would watch and observe and then write to my future CEO self and say, hey, Ryan, when you get there, don't do this, or remember how to treat people or how not to treat people. I had a process and a mechanism to help me learn from others at a high level. Without that, you'd have to get to that level, start making mistakes, only to then learn and adapt. I wanted to skip that step, so I started to observe and I started to write my future CEO self many, many years ago. One of the lessons I learned early on, and again, just by observing others, was a lesson I shared on the RE Source probably 9 years ago. The show was titled The Dangers of a Yes Man. What I learned from watching and working with my current CEO at the time, and it's been reaffirmed many times since then, even still today, was the dangers of surrounding yourself as a leader and even worse as a CEO with yes men and women. I watched as leader after leader would tell our CEO exactly what he wanted to hear. No honesty, no transparency, no refinement, no collaboration, just constant empty affirmations. Needless to say, guys, the leadership and thus the company never evolved and eventually closed their doors. The best boardrooms and C-suites in America crave and create a culture of peer refinement. Several Fortune 100 companies talk about the value of a war room versus a boardroom. This is when the best ideas and strategies are put to the test, challenged by the best of the best in your company. Lesson and takeaway, leaders crave refinement, crave opposing views and ideas, build a culture where this thrives from the top down. The next question he asked was, what is a near fatal decision you've made as a leader? Great question. One of the decisions I made early on in my career was supposed to be fatal. It was apparently career suicide and something I wouldn't come back from. And this was shared with me from people at very high roles. And they said, Ryan, this is not a good idea. And this might be something you don't come back from. See, early on in my career, I had the ability to start climbing the corporate ladder in a regional type role. My kids were still young. And I cared and still do care a great deal about being a good father and husband. At the time, that role was really demanding and I had to travel a lot. Long story short, I put my career path on hold so that I can focus on being a good father and husband and leader to my team. Again, I was told it was career suicide and something I wouldn't come back from or get a second chance. Turns out, good news is the leaders in my life were not accurate at the time. I was able to step back into a smaller role for the time being and then step back into a bigger leadership role when me and my family were ready. Something I did get wrong along the way though, and unfortunately didn't learn this until my time with Rene Rodriquez, was leading with only strength. My Amplify group was a group of ballers: Dave Savage, Jeremy Forcier, Josh Metal, The Mortgage Nerd, Dan Keller, Kelly Zitlow, Tony Balach, Shannon O'Hare, and the list goes on. The funny thing is, we all struggled with this. See, most people, including our entire group, will lead with their strength. It looks a little something like this. Hey, I'm Ryan Hills, regional of a $4.5 billion group, content creator for the last decade with 50,000 double opted-in subscribers, blah, 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 blah. That's great, and that's a great elevator speech, and other similarly minded people will connect with that. But what I learned, and seems super obvious now, is that not everyone connects that way. Rene explains this beautifully with one quick analogy. Nobody watches Rocky to fast forward to the end to see them beat up the Russian and win. We want to see the struggles, the setbacks. We want to see them when they overcome all the struggles and setbacks. We want to see the journey and then finally the win. It's no different in life. We fast forward to the end and start with our strengths and forget that many people connect with the journey and the struggles and the vulnerability. The crazy thing was, so many more people connected with me when I started to share and be open with that part of my life. Being told that I wasn't good enough has been a common theme in my life, and that has been something really tough, but I've had to overcome it, and I still do every day. It's my fuel that powers me every day to prove them all wrong. Not sharing this has been a mistake, but one that I'm correcting as I move forward. The lesson and the takeaway: get crystal clear on your priorities and you'll never regret pursuing them. And the other one is, we don't always need to lead with our strength. Let your heart speak in sequence. The last question was simply, what would you do over if you could? This one was easy. Short answer, whatever you're thinking, think bigger. I was speaking at a big event many years ago in Dallas for Berkshire Hathaway, actually, and I had to follow Tom Ferry. Great, thanks for that. He's an amazing speaker, and I was not at the time. Probably still aren't. He had one slide that just hit me in the face, though. It was only 5 words. Whatever you're thinking, think bigger. Heck, man, I was feeling pretty good about myself. I'm at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium getting ready to speak to an enormous group. But he was right. I needed to think even bigger than that. This was reaffirmed many years later when someone else close in my life asked me, Ryan, why are you playing small? What the hell, man? I think I'm doing pretty good. But again, he was right. After some reflection, I was playing small. If I could go back and do it over again, I would think even bigger and try to accomplish it all even sooner. What's that Elon Musk saying? Try to accomplish your 10-year goals in 6 months, something along those lines. I think we limit ourselves. I see it in myself and others every single day. So much potential, but we never truly step into it. We get a glimpse of it, and for some reason, that's more than enough. We coast, we take our foot off the gas, and we think that we've arrived. Whatever the case may be, we end up playing small, and I hope that saying plagues you in a good way like it does me. The lesson was reaffirmed again with John Maxwell, and he recently told me, Ryan, may you never not find yourself in the deep end, meaning I hope you're always challenged in your personal and professional life. Thinking bigger isn't easy and requires a ton of effort. It can be exhausting at times, and Maxwell's words to me were spot on. May you never not find yourself in the deep end. Lessons and takeaways, whatever you're thinking, think bigger. Stop playing small, and may you never not find yourself in the deep end. Again, I appreciate Todd and his entire team. This was just one of many lessons that were so valuable. It was great to see so many people doubling down on their craft and their business during a tough time. That is the best response, and I love seeing it. See you guys next week.